For decades, doctors and health magazines have told us to drink 8 glasses of water a day to stay healthy. But if you are over the age of 50, that exact piece of generic advice might be the hidden reason you are waking up exhausted at 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. every single night, staring at the ceiling and feeling like a hostage to your own bladder. Have you ever noticed how the modern medical system often treats us like machines? They prescribe a pill to mask the symptom, handing you a tiny life raft, but they rarely teach you how to actually fix the leak in the boat. If you are struggling with fragmented sleep, I know exactly how frustrating and isolating that feels. In the next 15 minutes, I am not going to give you generic, outdated advice. Instead, I am going to share a counterintuitive hydration timeline backed by recent physiological studies from institutions like the Cleveland Clinic that can reduce your nighttime bathroom trips by up to 50%. I personally tried the old methods of just drinking less water, and they completely failed because they ignored the root cause. Today, you will discover the exact cutoff window that resets your kidneys naturally. Before we dive into this life-changing routine, please take a quick second to hit the subscribe button, click the bell icon, and leave a like so you never miss out on these science-backed health secrets. Also, drop a comment below telling me how many times you woke up last night to use the bathroom. You are definitely not alone in this struggle, and sharing it helps our community grow stronger. Let's talk about Arthur. Arthur is a 68-year-old retired architect from Michigan. Every evening, like clockwork, he would drink a large glass of water right before bed, thinking he was protecting his heart from a stroke. But instead of resting comfortably, his nights turned into a fragmented nightmare of navigating dark hallways and cold bathroom tiles. The constant exhaustion left him with severe morning brain fog, making him fear his independence was slipping away. He thought his prostate was failing. He thought aging had simply defeated him. But the real culprit wasn't a failing organ. It was a microscopic misunderstanding of how aging kidneys process fluids after the sun goes down. You see, as we age, our bodies naturally produce less of an antidiuretic hormone called ADH during the night. When Arthur drank that healthy glass of water at 9 p.m., his brain simply could not signal his kidneys to slow down their filtering process. His body was essentially drowning in good intentions. Once we adjusted his hydration window and shifted his water intake to the morning and early afternoon, everything changed. He reclaimed his mornings, his energy, and his freedom. And you can do exactly the same thing. Nocturia, which is the medical term for waking up multiple times at night to urinate, is not just a minor inconvenience. It is a profound disruption of your cellular repair process. Every time you throw off the blankets and swing your legs out of bed, your deep sleep cycle is shattered. Your blood pressure fluctuates, your cortisol levels spike, and the restorative healing your brain desperately needs is abruptly canceled. The truth is, your kidneys are highly intelligent filters, but they operate on a strict circadian rhythm that shifts dramatically after your 50th birthday. When you were 30, your kidneys could easily filter a late-night cup of chamomile tea while you slept soundly. Now, that same cup of tea acts like a blaring alarm clock for your bladder. But here is the most crucial part that traditional guidelines completely ignore. It is not just about how much liquid you consume. It is the specific combination of sodium, gravity, and timing that dictates your nighttime urine production. In this comprehensive guide, we are going to break down the invisible enemies of your bladder and build an exact, step-by-step evening routine to defeat them. We will move beyond the superficial advice and look deeply at your biological mechanics. I will show you why elevating your legs at 4 p.m. might be just as important as putting down your water glass at 7 p.m. I will reveal the hidden sodium bombs lurking in your dinner that act like massive water magnets in your bloodstream. You are going to learn how to work with your aging biology, not against it. You might be sitting there right now thinking, but I already stopped drinking water at 6 p.m. Why am I still waking up in the dark, stumbling to the bathroom? If that scenario sounds painfully familiar, I need you to listen very carefully. You are not doing anything wrong, but you are likely falling victim to a hidden biological trap that I call the sodium sponge effect. Let me introduce you to Martha, a 73-year-old retired teacher from London. Martha was so incredibly desperate to sleep through the night that she completely stopped drinking any fluids after 4 in the afternoon. Her mouth was constantly bone dry, her skin was losing its healthy glow, and she was living in a state of chronic dehydration. Yet, the absolute nightmare continued. She was still rushing to the bathroom at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and 5 a.m. She felt entirely betrayed by her own body, frustrated and convinced that she was losing her independence. Does that feeling of bodily betrayal resonate with you? It is a heavy, silent burden to carry. In my years of analyzing aging biology and sleep patterns, I realized that modern advice has completely brainwashed us into focusing exclusively on the water in our glasses, while we completely ignore the invisible water trapped in our food. Martha loved having a warm, comforting bowl of healthy canned vegetable soup for dinner. What she did not realize was that a single can contained over 800 milligrams of hidden sodium. I want you to visualize sodium as millions of microscopic magnets swimming through your bloodstream. Wherever these sodium magnets go, water is forcefully pulled along with them. When you consume a high-sodium meal in the evening, whether it is a slice of pizza, a bowl of soup, or even a few innocent-looking crackers, your body stubbornly holds onto every single drop of water in an attempt to dilute that salt overload. Then, when you finally fall asleep, your heart rate slows down, and your blood pressure drops, your kidneys suddenly go into overdrive. They seize this resting period as their chance to filter out all that toxic salt. The physiological result? A rapidly filling bladder at 2 in the morning. According to comprehensive data published by researchers at Harvard Medical School, simply cutting out hidden evening sodium can manage nighttime urine production just as effectively as some invasive interventions without any of the dizzying side effects. You do not need to deprive yourself of water. You need to stop giving your body the magnets that hold on to it. But sodium is only half of the battlefield. The second invisible enemy stealing your sleep is something you experience every single day: gravity. Yes, gravity. This is a profound physiological mechanism that almost nobody warns you about. In medical circles, it is referred to as peripheral edema, but let us drop the complex jargon. I want you to think of your lower legs as 2 large water storage tanks. When you are standing in the kitchen, walking around the grocery store, or even just sitting in your favorite armchair watching the evening news, gravity is relentlessly pulling fluids down into your calves and ankles. You might not even notice the slight swelling. To you, your legs just feel a little heavy or tired. It feels completely normal. But here is the cruel hidden twist of human biology. The exact moment you lie flat in your comfortable bed, gravity is no longer keeping that fluid trapped in your lower extremities. All of that hidden, pooled water suddenly rushes back into your bloodstream, heading straight for your kidneys like a massive tidal wave. Your kidneys, functioning exactly as they are supposed to, process this sudden massive wave of fluid, and your bladder fills up at an alarming, unstoppable speed. Clinical observations and guidelines from the Mayo Clinic emphasize that this fluid shift is one of the leading, yet most frequently ignored, causes of nocturia in adults over the age of 60. Your heart and your kidneys are not failing you. They are simply trying to balance a massive fluid shift while you are lying flat. Waking up exhausted from this process does not just ruin your morning. It steals your joy, your patience with your grandchildren, and your enthusiasm for the golden years you worked so incredibly hard to achieve. It is a silent thief in the night. You are probably thinking right now, so what am I supposed to do? Sleep standing up? Of course not. There is a remarkably simple, zero-cost habit you can implement using nothing but your sofa and a couple of pillows. But pay close attention. If you do this at the wrong time, like right before you get into bed, you will actually make your nighttime urination significantly worse. There is a highly specific golden hour in the late afternoon to drain this fluid effectively. And when you combine this simple posture adjustment with the 2-hour hydration cutoff rule, the results are nothing short of a true blessing. Your body has an incredible capacity to find its natural rhythm again. Are you ready to discover the exact, step-by-step timeline that will finally let you close your eyes and sleep uninterrupted until sunrise? We are going to break down this powerful evening routine right now, and the first step starts long before the sun even goes down. Let's dive into the first crucial step of your new evening routine. I call it the afternoon flush. To understand why this physiological trick is so incredibly vital, let us look at the story of Richard. Richard is a 65-year-old retired hardware store manager from Texas. He was an active guy, spending most of his day on his feet, tinkering in his garage or working in the yard. By the time evening rolled around, his ankles were usually a bit swollen, but he brushed it off as a completely normal part of getting older. He would eat dinner, watch television in his recliner with his feet resting on the floor, and then go to bed at 10 p.m. Like clockwork, within 2 hours, he was up to pee. Then again at 3 a.m., then again at 5 a.m. Why was this happening? Because Richard was unknowingly bringing a massive, hidden reservoir of fluid into his bed every single night. According to circulatory research highlighted by institutions like Johns Hopkins Medicine, the veins in your lower legs have tiny one-way valves. As we age, these valves naturally become a little less efficient at fighting gravity to push blood and lymphatic fluid back up to the heart. Consequently, throughout the day, fluid silently pools in your calves and ankles. When Richard finally lay flat in his comfortable bed, gravity was neutralized. All that pooled fluid suddenly rushed back into his central circulation, heading straight for his kidneys. His kidneys were forced to process a liter of hidden fluid while he was desperately trying to sleep. The solution to this is remarkably simple, but the timing is absolutely everything. You must elevate your legs above the level of your heart for 30 to 45 minutes, but you must do this during the golden hour of 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Why this exact time? Because you need to force that fluid back into your bloodstream while you are still awake and active. This gives your kidneys plenty of time to filter that fluid out and send it to your bladder before you even put your pajamas on. If you wait to elevate your legs until 9 p.m., right before bed, you are simply moving the water to your bladder precisely as you go to sleep, completely defeating the purpose. By simply lying on his sofa with his feet propped up on 3 pillows at 5 p.m., Richard eliminated his 2 a.m. bathroom trip entirely. He finally worked with his biology, not against it. Now, let us move to the second non-negotiable strategy, the 2-hour hydration cutoff rule. You have probably heard well-meaning friends say you should just stop drinking water at 6 p.m., but rigid, extreme rules like that often lead to severe nighttime dehydration. And here is a shocking physiological fact. Being dehydrated at night actually concentrates your urine. Highly concentrated, acidic urine deeply irritates the delicate lining of your bladder, causing it to spasm and making you feel a sudden, urgent need to urinate even when your bladder is practically empty. Instead of dangerously starving your body of water, you need to implement a strategy called front-loaded hydration. This means intentionally consuming 70% of your total daily water intake before 2 p.m. Your aging kidneys are incredibly efficient at processing fluids when you are active and upright during the day. By front-loading your water, accourgate your cells perfectly without overloading your system later. Then, exactly 2 hours before your intended sleep time, you initiate the hard cutoff. If you plan to sleep at 10 p.m., your absolute last sip of any liquid is at 8 p.m. But what if your mouth gets uncomfortably dry? What if you need to take an evening medication? Here is a practical, zero-cost trick used by sleep therapists across Europe. Take a single, tiny sip of water, but do not swallow it immediately. Swish it around your mouth for 10 to 15 seconds before swallowing. This action stimulates your salivary glands to produce natural moisture, tricking your brain into feeling quenched without dumping a massive volume of fluid into your digestive tract. For evening medications, use a maximum of 2 ounces of water, just enough to safely swallow the pill. We have conquered the hidden gravity trap, and we have mastered hydration timing. But there is a third silent saboteur hiding right on your dinner plate. It is not just sodium. There are specific, incredibly common foods that act as severe chemical irritants to your bladder lining, causing it to contract violently in the middle of the night. You might think you are eating a healthy, light dinner, but you are accidentally consuming aggressive bladder stimulants. I am going to reveal exactly what these hidden dietary landmines are. You will be shocked to discover why a specific type of fruit you might be eating for a healthy dessert is quietly destroying your sleep architecture. But first, we need to understand how your nervous system is secretly amplifying your need to go to the bathroom. You've probably heard of the term overactive bladder, and maybe you've even accepted it as an unavoidable reality of aging. But what if I told you that your bladder might not be overactive at all? What if it is perfectly healthy, but your evening meal is secretly forcing it into overdrive? Let's look at the story of George, a vibrant 72-year-old from Vancouver. George prided himself on eating a relatively clean diet. He avoided heavy, greasy meals before bed, opting instead for what he thought were healthy choices. A slice of whole wheat toast with peanut butter, a small bowl of pre-packaged tomato soup, or a handful of roasted almonds. Yet, despite his careful choices, he was still a victim of nocturia. Every 2 hours, his sleep was violently interrupted. He was desperate and confused. It was not until we analyzed the hidden chemical composition of his evening snacks that the mystery was solved. George was unknowingly consuming massive amounts of hidden sodium and hidden irritants. The packaged soup alone contained over 1,000 milligrams of sodium, creating that sodium sponge effect we talked about earlier. But the toast and peanut butter presented a different kind of threat. Many commercially processed peanut butters and breads contain high levels of hidden sugars and artificial preservatives. These chemicals act as direct irritants to the lining of the bladder. When they enter your bloodstream and are eventually filtered by your kidneys into your urine, they make the urine highly acidic. Imagine pouring lemon juice onto a paper cut. That sharp, stinging sensation is exactly what your bladder experiences when it holds acidic urine. The bladder muscle, called the detrusor muscle, responds to this irritation by spasming. It sends a frantic signal to your brain: empty immediately, even if there is only a tiny amount of liquid present. This is not an overactive bladder. It is an irritated bladder desperately trying to protect itself. Clinical research from leading European urology centers has pinpointed several major dietary triggers that cause this exact phenomenon. The worst offenders might surprise you. Tomatoes and tomato-based products are highly acidic. Citrus fruits, like oranges and grapefruits, are obvious culprits. But one of the most common and devastating triggers is actually chocolate. Chocolate contains both caffeine, which is a known diuretic, and oxalates, which can severely irritate the bladder lining. Having a small piece of dark chocolate after dinner might seem like a healthy treat, but for someone struggling with nocturia, it is a chemical trigger that guarantees a disrupted night. By simply shifting these acidic and irritating foods to the lunchtime hours and keeping his dinner focused on neutral, non-irritating whole foods like lean poultry, steamed green vegetables, and complex carbohydrates like quinoa, George noticed an immediate difference. The spasms stopped. His brain finally allowed his body to rest. The power of this dietary shift is profound. It demonstrates that you are not broken. You do not necessarily need a lifetime prescription to suppress your bladder function. You simply need to stop inadvertently poisoning the delicate environment of your urinary tract right before you ask it to rest for 8 hours. This is the difference between simply treating a symptom and actually understanding your body's biology. Now we must address the final and perhaps the most deeply ingrained evening habit that destroys sleep architecture: the nightcap. For decades, a small glass of wine or a sip of brandy before bed has been celebrated as the perfect way to unwind and relax. But what happens physiologically when alcohol enters your system after 50 is a complete disaster for your sleep cycle. It is time to dismantle the myth of the relaxing nightcap. I am going to explain exactly how alcohol tricks your brain into shutting down its natural fluid control systems, leading to a massive surge in urine production just as you enter your deepest phase of sleep. But more importantly, I will show you a natural, zero-cost alternative to help you achieve that same level of relaxation without sabotaging your kidneys. Let us look at William, a 70-year-old retired pilot from Boston. William struggled with winding down at the end of a long day, so, for the last decade, he relied on a single glass of red wine at 8 p.m. He believed it calmed his nerves, eased his joint stiffness, and helped him drift off to sleep. And while it did help him close his eyes initially, he was violently waking up at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and 5 a.m. without fail. He was utterly exhausted, carrying a heavy blanket of brain fog every single morning, completely unaware that his beloved relaxing nightcap was the exact physiological trigger destroying his rest. To understand why this happens, we have to look at a miraculous little chemical in your brain called vasopressin, which is also known as the anti-diuretic hormone. When the sun goes down and your environment gets dark, your brain naturally releases vasopressin to tell your kidneys to stop filtering water and slow down urine production. It is your body's built-in survival mechanism designed specifically to keep you asleep. However, according to extensive sleep and urology research from institutions like Oxford University and the National Sleep Foundation, alcohol acts as a direct chemical block to this crucial hormone. The moment that glass of wine or evening beer enters your bloodstream, your brain physically stops producing vasopressin. Your kidneys, suddenly lacking their normal nighttime instructions, simply open the floodgates. They begin dumping water directly into your bladder exactly when you need to be in your deepest stages of cellular repair. But the damage does not stop there. Not only does alcohol force your bladder to fill rapidly, but it also severely disrupts your REM sleep, which is the restorative phase of rest your brain absolutely requires to prevent memory decline and cognitive fatigue. You are left with an overfilled bladder and a highly agitated, restless nervous system. You might be asking, how do I unwind at night without my usual drink or without brewing a massive mug of chamomile tea that will just fill my bladder again? Here is a powerful, science-backed alternative that countless health professionals recommend. Instead of adding unnecessary liquid volume to your system, look into a mineral called magnesium glycinate. Magnesium is a naturally occurring mineral that acts as a profound relaxant for your central nervous system, naturally lowering cortisol and easing anxiety. But more importantly for you, clinical urology studies show that magnesium specifically helps relax the detrusor muscle, which is the very muscle that surrounds your bladder and causes those sudden, uncontrollable urges to urinate. Taking a high-quality magnesium glycinate capsule with just a tiny sip of water 1 hour before bed can calm your racing mind, relax your bladder spasms, and prepare your body for a deep, uninterrupted night of sleep, all without suppressing your essential nighttime hormones. Let us take a moment to bring this entire blueprint together, because true health is never about finding one magic pill. It is about a beautiful symphony of small, intelligent daily habits. First, we implement the afternoon flush. Elevate your legs above your heart for 30 to 45 minutes during the golden hour of 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., allowing gravity to return pooled fluid to your kidneys while you are still awake to process it. Second, we adopt the front-loaded hydration strategy. Drink 70% of your water before 2 p.m. and strictly enforce the 2-hour hydration cutoff rule before your head hits the pillow, using the 15-second mouth swishing trick if you feel thirsty. Finally, we completely eliminate the invisible evening triggers. We remove the hidden sodium bombs that magnetically trap water in your blood, we swap out acidic bladder irritants like late-night chocolate and citrus, and we replace the hormone-disrupting alcohol nightcap with a natural, dry relaxant like magnesium. When you apply these biological principles, you are no longer blindly fighting against your age or feeling betrayed by your own organs. You are stepping into a place of absolute empowerment. You are giving your kidneys the exact environment they need to rest, and you are allowing your bladder to stay calm, relaxed, and empty until sunrise. I know exactly how exhausting and lonely the cycle of chronic sleep deprivation can be. I know the quiet fear of feeling like your physical independence is slowly fading away in the dark hours of the night. But please hear me when I say this. Your body is incredibly resilient. It desperately wants to heal and find its rhythm again. It simply needed the right owner's manual for this new season of your life. Starting tonight, you have the knowledge and the power to take your life back. Thank you so much for investing your time with me today and taking this vital step toward reclaiming your health and your independence. Remember, aging gracefully is not about perfection. It is about understanding and honoring your beautiful, complex biology. Rest well tonight, stay beautifully hydrated during the day, and I will see you in our next video.